Okay, we've turned a heel, we've made a sock. The last thing we've got to do is graft the toe so that we don't end up with a seam right here that could bother our foot. We're going to do that by sewing in a row of knitting. This is often called Kitchener stitch. You can just call it grafting. If you're looking for the most basic grafting, it'll still be under Kitchener stitch. But it's going to be pretty easy. I'm working with a contrast thread so that you can see what I'm doing. But if I was closing this toe properly, my working yarn would be coming out of this stitch here. And you need to cut off a piece of working yarn that's 3 to 4 times as long as you want to graft. So the first thing are 2 setup stitches. I've got my stitches arranged with the foot stitches on one needle and the instep stitches on another. Because this is a tiny baby sock, I've got 4 on each. Right? I could have 3. I could have put these together. As long as you've got an equal number of stitches on your front and back needle, grafting will work out just fine. So I'm going to go into the front stitch as if to purl, bring my yarn through, and then into the back stitch as if to knit. I'm leaving both those stitches on the needles. That's our setup. Okay, now we're all set up. So in the front stitch, I'm going to go in as if to knit and slide that stitch off the needle. And then in the next stitch, I'll go in as if to purl and leave that stitch on the needle and just tug gently. We're going to reverse it on the back. We're going to go in as if to purl and slide that off, and then in as if to knit and leave it on. And we're going to repeat that across. We've only got a couple of stitches for the toe of this sock. So on our next stitch, in as if to knit, slip it off, and purlwise, leave it on. I always think knit off, purl on, purl off, and knit on. Just becomes a little rhythm in my brain as I'm doing this. So we've got a knit off, purl on, purl off, knit on, and if you look at this, as I snug it up, you can see that I'm making knit stitches that are interlocked just the way they should be. Last 2 stitches, knit off, purl off, set your needles to the side, and snug your grafting down. Each graft will be a little different. If you've got these little ears, sew your end in. Sorry about that. And as you pull it in, it's going to tuck that end in. I'm going to sew in and tuck that end, and you end up with a little invisible seam on your toe. That's it.